So when you get your crown back from the lab after it's been milled, there are things that you would normally do as a dentist chairside to make sure that that crown fits properly, or whatever it is. It might be an onlay, it might be an inlay, but whatever that indirect, it might be a veneer. Whatever that indirect restoration is, you're going to go through a series of steps to make sure that it fits properly in the mouth. Well, the other step along the way that you'll be doing with this project is what the lab does once the crown has been milled. And I'm going to have Larry show you what the lab goes through. Once the crown comes from being milled, it requires some finishing on the models before it goes out the door and hits the dental office and is ready for trying in and fitting. We call those fittings, really, to make sure that they fit properly with the patient. So what you're going to see next is what the lab does, and this is what we want you to do. We want you to make sure that your milled crown goes through these steps that Larry's going to show you on the models, just on the models. We want you to get it ready to go out the door, as it were, to the dental office. And so that's what Larry's going to show you next.
Okay, we just got the crown back from the lab. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually finish the crown. Things that you'll need, of course, is your model. You're going to have your crown that will come back from the lab. You'll need a diamond burr of your choice. Doesn't really matter which one. I like to use one that's flat on one end. And you'll need your diamond impregnated rubber wheels, both your coarse, medium, and fine. And of course a piece of light articulating paper. Don't use the cardboard, the thick stuff, because if you use the thick, you're going to lose a contact very, very quickly. So I'm going to run you through how I finish these crowns and how I do it. So I've got my model. I'm going to remove my die directly from my model. And I want to take my crown out, and I want to verify that my crown seats directly on my die, which it does. So all I'm going to do at this point in time is go ahead and finish and get all my contacts correct. And I'm going to leave them tight. If you leave your contacts tight, you won't lose them, because I believe your grade is done through the typodont. So you want your contacts tight here, so that you have to finish them down with a high polish. You want to come back to your rubber wheels in the typodont and do your finishing contacts there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do my mesial or distal contact. It doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my die directly back onto my model, and I'm going to put my crown there. And you can see how my crown, if you can see right here, how it's sitting up off the margin. That means I've got a nice tight contact in here. What I want for contacts are nice, broad, deep, long contacts. That way you're going to stop any kind of food impaction. You don't want pinpoint contacts, or you want to limit those as much as you can. So I'm going to just put my crown back on, just hold it lightly. I'm going to pull my articulating paper through, and you're going to see exactly where the contact point is. At this point in time, I'm going to use my diamond, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to finish this down. And what I'm going to do is take my diamond point, and I'm just going to lightly adjust those, and it's going to be quite a few putting it on and putting it off the model. You don't want to take too much off at any one time. You just want to gently remove it until you get a nice seat of your crown like that, and you're still getting a good contact pull through it, and you're still getting your mark. Okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off the distal of my model, and I'm going to put on my mesial aspect of my model, and I'm going to put my crown right back on. You can see how it's sitting up. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Put it on, hold it down, pull it through until I can get a nice mark. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take that off again. And I'm going to do that until I get a nice light drag or heavy drag with my articulating paper. If you can feel a pinch, it's still too tight, and I'll just come through, and all I'm doing is hitting just that point. I'm not going through and getting a ton of material on there, just the point of contact. And now it's seating, and I've got my nice contact right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on both my mesial and distal, and I'm going to put my crown right back on. You can see how it's sitting up. So now what I want to do is I want to do the exact same thing, but just pushing the crown to seat directly in, and now you can really feel a pull on both aspects of that. And you don't want to do one side of the crown and then the other side of the crown at two different times, because if you take too much off of one side and not off the other, you're going to get one contact that's going to be open. So I'm going to just lightly adjust this on both aspects of that, and using about the same amount of material. The crown's still sitting up. I'm going to put my crown back on, drag, do the other side, drag it through, and I can tell that the contacts are very, very tight. So I'm just going to do the same thing, just hit my contact points on both sides of that until I can get my crown down without much force. So it's probably about 3 or 4 adjustments. One, the other side, again, pull it through, and judge based on how strong the drag is you're going to tell which side has a higher contact. So you're just wanting to come through, remove that again, remove this again. And once I can get this on like that, fairly simple, what I want to do now is I want to change to my coarse diamond impregnated rubber wheel. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smooth that out, and you can kind of start seeing a shine on it. I mean, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but you can almost see it glistening in the actual camera there. And I'm going to leave those nice and tight. See how it doesn't seat down right this second until I kind of gently push it. Now I know my contacts are perfect where I want them on the model for this stage, but I want to finish this on the typodont. So I don't want to get these nice and loose right here because of that. If I make them nice and tight or perfect on this model, the typodont, it might be open. And I don't want that. I want you to do the final finishing on the typodont. So now that it's seating down, what I want to do is check my occlusion. And you can see how it kind of rocks heavy on my occlusion. I'm going to take this and I'm going to remove my diamond impregnated rubber wheel. I'm going to put my diamond back on, because what I want to do now is I want to be able to come through and do my occlusal contacts. And all I'm doing is my centric contact so I can figure out where my contact points are. Right now you can see right here, it's right on the top of this cusp, and it's along this triangular ridge, including right here at that base. So what I want to do is I want to come through and I want to remove those contacts a little bit just to get rid of those nice high spots. Same thing here, and same thing on this side. If you want to refine some of your triangular ridges, you can come in here with a diamond and kind of go in and refine those. Those areas aren't going to be hitting your centrum contact at all. So all I'm doing is I'm just refining my occlusion to make it look a little bit prettier. Put that back on until it's fully seated, and I want to come back in here and I want to be able to adjust by going directly into centric. And I'm going to come back down here and I can see exactly where my point of contacts are. It's right here and right on that stamp cusp right there. And I'm trying to keep my contact right here at this base, and right in here. I might get a contact that comes onto my mesial or distal marginal ridge, but for right now, these are the contacts I'm wanting to take down to get that one pinpoint contact. We should have two, but all they're grading on is one. So play with it, but if you can keep two of them, great. If you can have only one of them, that's fine too. And this is, again, tedious because you're having to go off and on to the model multiple times to get to those contact points. And I want my contact to be right here on that centrum point right there. It goes down the vertical of the tooth, the long axis of the tooth, so it's not creating a tipping force. So right now I'm going to start modifying my contacts just to where I want them, which is right here and right there. So I'm going to take away my contact points everywhere but those spots. And you can see I'm still having my contact right here, which I want. I'm starting to get one right in here, and I've got one right here. So I'm going to take this part off. This right here, the contacts here, more than likely just your articulating paper. It doesn't bend around and create just one pinpoint. It usually will create lots of different marks. What you're looking for is the deep centric mark, just like that. And you're going to see them right here and right here. As soon as I start getting those big marks just on those spots, I'm going to stop. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to keep tapping that until I get just those contact positions. So I want that out of the way, want this out of the way, and I want it off of that line angle right there. I just want the contact here and there, and I can see right now it's very heavy in that centric point, so I'm just going to reduce it a little bit right there and keep it right at that very stamp of that one cusp. And now I'm getting a good level movement here, so I know my contacts are getting very, very close. So now I'm getting those nice contact areas everywhere I want, right here and right here. Right in here might just be the markings from the articulating paper, but I'm going to leave those so I can just create those 2 points of contact right here and right there. Those were the two that I want to keep. So at this point in time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to run through my excursive movements. I'm going to do this in black so you can see it. So when I'm going through my excursive movements, I want to see where I'm writing heavy on. So I'm just kind of moving this around. And you'll see right here where it's in black now. And I can see I have contact right in here, here, very high on this ridge, on that triangular ridge, and along this triangular ridge right here. I want those contacts to stay, but I want to get rid of some of those premature contacts right in here. So I'm going to get and remove those. That one, that, and get rid of a little bit of that. And I want to keep those two black contacts there. And that's what I want. And that's right now where I'm going to leave this crown as far as where I want to stop adjusting it. So now I've got my mesial and distal contacts, my occlusal contacts pretty much where I want them, but they're just heavy. You want to leave them heavy because of the reasons of finishing it on the typodont. When you get to the typodont, you never want to use your diamond wheel at this stage. So at this point, I'm ready to take this and finish around my margins. As you see during the design phase, around the margins, it leaves a little bit of a lip around for milling. It's to protect the margins so when it goes through the milling process, it doesn't create chipping. So it just leaves you probably a quarter of a millimeter where you can almost feel it with an instrument, your fingernail, and you never want to finish this on the die. You never want to come through and finish your crown like this. If you do that, you're going to adjust the die and the margin, and when you go to the mouth, you're going to see that you have either an opening or a ledge from where the crown doesn't fit the actual die itself. What I like to do is I take this in portions of it, and I take my crown off, and I make certain when I'm wheeling this that my wheel's spinning this direction to that margin. If I go and do it this way, it's inevitable you're going to catch that margin, you cut the margin, make it a little nick in it. So never finish it down this direction, always finish it down this direction. So what I want to do is I'm going to only start on one area, and I'm going to come around my margins, and what I want to do is I want to come around and just gently finish this until I don't have any more of that overhang. And I do this in about 5 different stages. And right now, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm only going at the most about 2,000 RPMs. So if you're using your lab handpiece, just keep it slow and just gently maneuver that around to where it's just a nice even finish until you get a nice finish in that margin area. That side's good. Now I'm going to go around and I'm going to finish this side. And all I'm focusing right now is the margin. I'm just going around to where I can actually feel that there's no catch. Now I'll move on to the next stage, and when you're coming around to do your inner proximal marginal area, stay away from your contact. You want to take any more off your contact right now where it's going to be light. So just kind of keep it down at that bottom 1 to 2 millimeters around that margin area, and just keep going on until you're getting that lip gone. And you're just going to keep going around and doing that until you find no more overhang. And as you can see, as I'm grinding on this, it's starting to put a shine directly onto the crown. And now that crown has no lip, no overhang. It's nice and smooth to the touch all the way around, nothing sealed, and I never touched the die, so my die hasn't changed. I don't know if you can see it, but you can kind of see a little bit of a shine around the margin. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to be fixing and finishing it with these 3 points right here. My diamond's done. I'm not even going to touch that now. I'm just going to start with my coarse. And what I'm doing is I'm just coming around and I'm going to do everything on the buccal, mesial, and distal surfaces except for my contact points. I'm going to come around and I'm just kind of going through at about 22,000 RPMs. And this doesn't take too long. And I know my points of contact where I had them are right here and right here. So this is the area I'm not going to use this coarse diamond with at all. I don't want to hit those anymore because I don't want to reduce it down. So when I get into my interproximal areas, I'm going to finish around those contact points. So I'm going to come around here. I haven't even touched those contact points, and I'm just coming around, and I don't know if the camera can see it, but I'm not really even going down to the margin because I've already polished that. So on here, I'm just kind of staying about 1 to 2 millimeters away from the margin with this because I don't want to take any more off my margin. And I'm staying away again from that contact point right there. Occlusally, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to adjust my occlusion, just hitting it straight on top like so, and trying to keep it away a little bit from those contact areas. The contact areas were deep down here on that center ridge, or the center groove, and right up here on the stamp cusp. So I'm going to stay away from those little areas as much as I can. And you should be able to find these points. I don't know if they have points up there, but these little points work perfect for getting into the grooves, because you went in there with diamonds. So what I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to go into these grooves and create a nice polished space right in that groove area. And if they have smaller points than these, the little smaller points work better. This one, you can see how it's starting to flatten out right now, and I don't have a truing stone or anything to be able to smooth that down a little bit. But if you have the smaller points, they work much, much better on here. So all I'm doing now is I'm just coming across, and I'll even go across this surface with this on that flat side. And I don't know if you can see how the shine is on that, but you're starting to get a nice kind of a matte shine with this. And that is the coarser of the 3 diamond impregnated rubber wheels. Now when you come to these ones, these get a little bit more fine. There's not as much coarseness to them. So these will start shining up a lot better. And all I'm doing on these is I'm just going over that same surface as I just did, but it's going to put a little bit better shine directly to it. So same thing here. And when I get to those contact points, be careful, because once you shine it, it becomes very smooth and it will flick out of your hands very, very easily. So you might see that happen during this finishing. So all I'm going to do is I'm coming through here and just creating even a better shine to this. And I don't know how well the camera can pick this up, but under the light here, you should be able to see a nice gloss starting to really appear on this. And all I'm doing is everything was from coarse to fine. You'll never see me go back to the greens, and you'll never see me go back to the diamonds at this stage. Because if I go back to the diamond, I have to then go to the coarse, and I go to the medium, and then I go to the fine. So always start here, finish with your fine. That's one general principle you always follow when you're doing anything finishing. It doesn't matter if it's crowns, if it's dentures, Valplast, flexible dentures, metal, chrome works. Always start with coarse and finish with fine. If you go backwards, you're just recreating more work for yourself. So once that is done, I'm just going to go to the same thing, go to the next point. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to come into these grooves and create a nice finish on those groove areas. And same thing, I might come back here. And once I get closer to the margins, I'm not so concerned with the margins on this one, because of the fact this isn't really taking any material off. You'll take material off with this. This is really not much of anything. If it's taking anything off, it's fractions. It's not going to interfere. And you can see how flat my contact point is. I'm gonna move this crown around, but if you look right here, you can see how flat that is. Same thing over here. And that's kind of what you want, that flatness there. And here you really can't see it, but if you look close in here, you'll see how flat it is right in here, and that's where the stamp cusp from the opposing's hitting it. And those are what you want to keep. And as we finish this up, I'll put them back on the model and actually show you how it still has all the contacts as what you had before. So now that we've gotten that part done, now it's coming through, and you can see the shine right now. And I kind of like more of that shiny matte finish, especially when it goes into the mouth and you have saliva and everything else. It just intensifies how much glare you're going to get. And I quite like that finish. But if you want to go and finish it even more, there's even a stage past this. You can get diamond impregnated paste, and use a goat hair bristle brush, and you can even get more shine to it than that, but that's kind of overkill, and you can almost make it too headlighty or too shiny in the mouth. So I tend to like kind of more of a matte finish, which is this finish right here. And I don't know if you can see it well with the camera, but that is a good finish, and you can pretty much be happy with that finish. But we'll go one more stage, and we're gonna come up in here and we're going to use these. And these are really high polishers. And this really isn't taking anything off of the crown at all. It really is just putting a gloss to it. And this is kind of where I stop. I don't usually use the diamond paste because I just find it's just too shiny. And I'm just coming right along this surface, and I'm just creating a nice shine with this. And these do become very, very slick. I'm holding as much as I can with my fingers so it doesn't fall out. But you'll find that these are almost like glass, very, very slick, icy, once you get them this polished. And all I'm doing is I'm going around with the fine point, and the fine point does the same exact thing. It's just creating that final polish on all the surfaces, including the occlusal. And these points work best on the occlusal. The flat points make it hard to get into the grooves, but these points make it very, very easy and very, very nice to get into it. And you can come in here and you can just kind of go right through your grooves. And if you have a bristle hair brush, I don't have one right here with me. I tend to use the bristle hair brush, the goat hair brush, really just to come over it. I'm not putting any polish on it. It just gets into the grooves and gets rid of any of the rubber points that are left to mark the occlusion. Just like that. But I don't know if you can tell the difference now on the shine, but now you've got that nice glistening shine, and this is where I tend to say good. I don't want any more shine with it, but that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this right back onto my model, and you can see how right now I still can't get it down. I didn't really take anything off of it, so it takes a little bit of pressure to push it down, but that's what you want. Because at this stage you're not done with it. This is where you're going to go to your typodont, and again, this doesn't get used. No more diamonds. To fine-tune your contacts in the mouth, you're only going to use these. It's a little bit of a pain. It's just slightly taking it off, but once you lose the contact, you're done. Don't lose the contact. It's a little bit of a slow go, but it gets you exactly where you want. It's same thing on occlusion. If I put my marking paper down, it will still see my marks. It gives me my marks where I need them at, and I can fine tune them on the typodont. And if I take my contact paper and I put it in between my contacts, I should still have my contacts in there. And now all of a sudden you can see where my contact is on my distal, my contact on my mesial, and my occlusal contacts where I had my occlusal contacts. So I've got all my contacts where they need to be. I can get it onto the model. That doesn't mean it's not going to be tight if this was a real patient in the mouth. If it was in the lab, I have what's called a solid model. I take it from here and I get my contacts exactly on my working model, then I transfer it to what we call a solid model. Once the solid model goes in, then I'm getting my perfect contacts on the solid, because that's a lot more realistic to what the patient's intraoral environment is. You just don't have a solid model to go to that. Your solid model is the typodont. So this is where I finish it at this stage, and this is where you're going to take it and do everything I just did, but only with these instruments, not diamond. And you're just going to rubber point these down until you get that nice shiny finish where you're not really seeing any more scratch marks. You're just getting a nice glossy finish like so. And that's it.